Greetings from Temecula, California. It is Tuesday. We've got a loaded stack of stuff today. We're going to need extra coffee. Oh, wait. That was yesterday. Today it's just adrenaline. Strap in because the sports world has lost its mind again. We start with the MLB Wildcard. The October drama has arrived. Teams that were hanging by a thread in August are now popping champagne in October. You live for this. You can't script this stuff. Well, maybe ESPN tries, but this is real, pure baseball as God intended. And while we're talking drama, forget the diamond. We've got a soap opera going on in the WNBA, and it's not even on the court. Oh, yes. By the way, the playoffs are heating up. We got a Game 5 in Las Vegas we'll talk about. The storylines are hotter off the court. Teammates fueling cryptic posts, sideline glares. It's like Real Housewives with jump shots. I'll tell you, you can't make this up. And if that's not enough, we got the NBA season preview. Two teams on the radar today, the Brooklyn Nets and the Denver Nuggets. Now the Nets, they're trying to figure out who they are, identity crisis city. The Nuggets, they're, being overlooked, kind of. Jokic is somewhere riding a horse and still somehow putting up triple doubles. And then, oh yes, Washington's at it again. There's a college reform bill making its way through Congress. Senator Cantwell says it's about protecting student athletes, but, I'm telling you, whenever D.C. says we're here to help, you better hold on to your wallet. They're talking about rewriting a 1961 law to let college conferences band together and sell their media rights. Translation, the big boys get bigger and everyone else gets table scraps. And don't forget NIL money. Name, image, likeness. It's the new Wild West. And this bill might just decide who gets to be the sheriff. Now, before we get started, I got to tell you this. This is a true story. Yesterday, I'm at a coffee shop. Guy behind me wearing a Yankees hat. He looks miserable. I say, what's wrong? He goes, Ryder, we're in the playoffs. And I said, yeah, but why are you upset? I said, that's good. That's good that you're in the playoffs. And he just was miserable about it. And, I don't know. He didn't, I tried to cheer him up. It didn't go too well. He just sighed, took his latte and walked out like he just lost Game 7. I don't know. I guess, folks, baseball fans are special, passionate, loyal, slightly unstable, but bless their hearts. So today we've got the MLB Wildcard breakdown, WNBA drama, Game 5 semifinals, plus the NBA season storylines, and a deep dive on what's really going on in that college reform bill. Don't go anywhere. This is the Ryder Report. I am Ryder Bullock. So we begin with October baseball. It is finally here, and the road to the Fall Classic begins with the wild card. We start in Cleveland, Game 1. Tigers and Guardians, and Tyreek Skubal absolutely dealing. On the hill for Detroit, the likely American League Cy Young favorite, and he pitches like it tonight. 7 2/3 innings, 14 strikeouts, tying a Tigers postseason record. His fastball hitting 99 miles per hour, and the Guardians couldn't touch it. Top of the 7th, game tied 1-1. Zach McKinstry lays down the safety squeeze. Riley Green breaks for home, slides in safety. Detroit takes lead 2-1. Bottom of the 9th, drama in Cleveland. Jose Ramirez on third after a throwing error. Guardians threatening, but Will Vest fields a grounder, chases Ramirez down between third and home, tags him out, and the Tigers escape. Detroit wins 2-1. To take Game 1 and can advance with a win tomorrow. Skubal absolutely dominant, 7.2 innings pitched, 3 H1R and 14 strikeouts. Now to Wrigley, the friendly Confines feeling mighty friendly for the Cubbies today. Cubs hosting the Padres and looking for their first playoff win since 2017. Down 1-0 in the first, down 1-0 in the fifth. Seiya Suzuki steps in, gone 424 feet to left center. Cubs tie it up, and Wrigley is rocking. Next batter, Carson Kelly, Chicago native, back-to-back. First time Cubs go back-to-back in the postseason since 2016. Cubs take a 2-1 lead. Matthew Boyd and the bullpen lock it down. 4 relievers, 0 hits. And Brad Keller finishes it in the ninth. Cubs win it 3-1 to take Game 1 at Wrigley. The Northsiders, 1 win away from the NLDS. And how about that bullpen? Perfect throughout 4 innings. Not a single base runner allowed. Game 2 tomorrow. Dylan Cease gets the ball for San Diego. Andrew Kittredge opens for Chicago. And in the Bronx, another chapter in baseball's greatest rivalry. Garrett Crockett, sensational, retired 17 straight, 11 strikeouts, no walks, 117 pitches, the most in a postseason game since 2019. Only blemish, Anthony Volpe's second inning homer gave the Yankees a 1-0 lead. 7th inning, Red Sox rally. Luke Weaver on the mound walks Cedens Rafaela after an 11-pitch at-bat. Nick Sogard singles, and Yashedea delivers 2-run. Single to center. Boston leads 2-1. Airdolis Chapman comes in to face his former team. Bases loaded. Nobody in the ninth. He strikes out Stanton, gets Chris Holm to fly out, then blows away Grisham at 101 miles per hour to end it. Red Sox take Game 1 3-1, improved to 10-4 against New York this season. Halfway to the ALDS. Game 2 tomorrow. Carlos Rodon for the Yankees. Brian Bello for Boston. So the Tigers, Cubs, Yankees, one step closer to October glory. Wednesday could send them to the next round. We'll, of course, have full highlights and reactions tomorrow right here on the Ryder Report. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, the Dodgers are playing the Reds, middle of the 7th. Dodgers lead it 8-2, and we will keep you updated on that game as the night progresses. Let's shift to the gridiron and tough news out of Miami. Dolphins star wide receiver Tyreek Hill underwent major knee surgery today, replacing a dislocated knee and multiple torn ligaments, including the ACL. His agent, Drew Rosenhaus, says the operation, quote, went very well, and the doctors are optimistic. No nerve damage, no blood flow issue, no broken bones, and Rosenhaus says the goal is for Hill to return by the start of next season. Hill suffered the injury in Monday night's win over the Jets, a game where Miami finally snapped its 3-game skid. But losing Hill is a huge blow. Since joining the Dolphins in 2022, only Justin Jefferson has more receiving yards. The Dolphins will now lean heavily on Jalen Waddell, who had 142 yards and a touchdown the last time Hill missed a game, and Darren Waller, who caught 2 touchdowns Monday in his season debut. Running back Devon Achane also continues to be one of the league's most versatile weapons. Miami's added depth too, signing Cedric Williams Jr. off the Saints practice squad. Head coach Mike McDaniel says this team's been here before, losing stars like Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Phillips, and Bradley Chubb in recent seasons, and it's about adjusting fast and finding ways to win. The Dolphins, now 1-3, face a big test Sunday against Carolina as they try to stay afloat without their most explosive playmaker. And it's not just Miami dealing with star power on the sidelines. Out west, the 49ers could be facing a big question at quarterback heading into Thursday night football. 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy's status is up in the air. The Niners starter is battling a toe soreness that flared up after Sunday's win over Jacksonville, and he's been a non-participant in practice all week. Purdy says if the game were tonight, he couldn't go, but he's still hopeful with 2 more days to recover before Thursday. Head coach Kyle Shanahan says the final call will depend on whether Purdy can play at full strength and protect himself. If not, Mac Jones is ready to step in. He's already led San Francisco to wins over the Saints and the Cardinals earlier this season. The 3-1 Niners and 3-1 Rams are tied atop the NFC West, so Thursday's matchup could go a long way towards shaping the division race. The 49ers might also be short-handed elsewhere. Wideouts Juwan Jennings, Ricky Purcell, and star George Kittle all missed practice today. Purdy says he's doing everything he can to be ready, and we'll see if he can play. If he can, he will. We'll see, though, if San Francisco rolls with their quarterback one or turns again to Mac Jones in prime time. Let's go to the NBA, where Golden State is back in the headlines. Training camp opening up for the 25-26 season, and the Warriors, they've been busy. They bring in Al Horford, a veteran presence, a guy who knows how to defend, how to lead. That's a winning piece. You get DeAnthony Melton, solid guard, can defend, can shoot it, gives you depth in the backcourt. Those are real basketball moves. But here's the story today, and you know this. It's the Curry brothers. Reunited. Seth Curry, 1-year deal, joining Stephen Curry in Golden State. And listen, for the first time in their careers, they're going to share a locker room, share the floor in real minutes. Now, this isn't a move that changes the balance of power in the West. Let's be honest. Seth's a role player, a shooter, comes off the bench, gives you a spark. But this is about culture. This is about continuity. This isn't about Stephen Curry, 15 years, 4 championships. Well, he's still the face of the franchise, and the Warriors are saying, we're going to surround our guys with people he trusts. And listen, from a family standpoint, it's a great story. You've got Dad, Del Curry, who played 10 years in Charlotte, watched both of his sons carve their own paths. Now they're together, same team, same goal. You love to see it. But from a basketball standpoint, I'll tell you this. Golden State's not chasing nostalgia. They're trying to extend the window. You had Horford. You had Melton. You bring in veterans who can help stabilize a locker room that, frankly, was chaotic last year. Draymond's future is uncertain. Clay's gone, and Steph's not getting younger. We talked about that yesterday. The age group is north of 30. And so the message here is one more run. They're going to give Curry the tools, the shooting, the leadership, the veteran presence to make one last push in the Western Conference. Now, does it make them a title favorite? And the answer to that is no. Denver, Oklahoma City, Minnesota, those teams are younger, deeper. But can Golden State be a tough act in a 7-game series? Absolutely. Especially if Steph is still Steph. So, yeah, the Curry brothers together, it's a great story. But don't overlook what this says about the Warriors. They're going for chemistry, experience, and one more shot at glory. I've said it for years. You give me Steph Curry, a healthy supporting cast, and a locker room that's all pulling in the same direction, I'll take my chances every single time. We continue with our 30 teams and 30 days, and today we'll start with the Brooklyn Nets. You look at this team going into the 25-26 season, this is a full rebuild. Make no mistake about it. They're not pretending. They're not sitting here saying we're one piece away. No, they're rebuilding from the ground up. You finished 26-56 last year, 12th in the East. You go through 44 different starting lineups. You don't have identity, offensively or defensively. You flash some moments. Top 10 offense early, number 1 defense for about a month before the All-Star break. But you can't sustain anything. That's what makes bad teams bad teams. Now, this year, Sean Marks and company said we're pressing reset. They draft 5 first-round picks. 5, They had Demon at 8, Soro at 19, Powell at 22, Seraph at 26, Wolf at 27. You've got a rookie class like a college team, and I can't remember the last time an NBA roster carried 5 first-round rookies into a season. It just doesn't happen. Then you make the trade for Michael Porter Jr. And listen, Porter's a talented guy. He's got length. He can shoot the ball. He's a legit scorer. 18 games last year, 39% from 3. But the question with him has always been health and focus. Can he be the guy? Because now he's not a third option behind, Jokic or Murray. He's going to be a primary in Brooklyn. We're going to find out a lot about Porter this year. You bring back Cam Thomas, who's still only 23. This team, in scoring 2 straight years when healthy, and you add Edgar Dimon, who I'll tell you right now could be the X factor. This kid's 6'9", can handle, can pass, has vision. If his shot develops, he's a matchup nightmare. He's the one you circle and say, okay, that's the future. You sprinkle in veterans like Terrence Mann, Hayward Higsmith. You've got Nick Claxton holding down the middle, 11 points, 9 rebounds, 2 blocks. A solid anchor, a good defender. So it's a young, hungry group with a couple of pros around them. But let's be honest, this team's not playing for April. They're playing for 2027. This year is about development. It's about finding out, can Cam Thomas be a star? Can Demon run your offense? Can Porter stay healthy and lead? Which rookies are real and which are trade chips? And the East, listen, it's not forgiving. Boston, New York, Cleveland, Milwaukee, they're all better right now. So Brooklyn's got to be patient, got to take their lumps and build the right way. If they hit one, or 2 of these rookies, if Demon becomes what they think, if, Trevor or Powell turns into a rotation guy, then you got something. You got youth, flexibility, and assets, but it's going to take time. So for the Nets, the key word is identity. Last year, they didn't have one. This year, they're going to start forging it. It's going to be ugly some nights, but if you're a Brooklyn fan, you want to see growth, not wins. And I'll say this, don't be shocked if by mid-season they're one of those sneaky teams, that give contenders headaches. They'll play fast, they'll play loose, and with all those young legs, they'll catch somebody napping. They're not there yet. But if they stay patient, this could be a fun, dangerous team in a couple of years. The foundation's there. Now it's about development. Let's get to Denver, the Nuggets, who last year, 50 wins, a trip to the Western Conference semifinals, and a near upset of the eventual champs, and you think, hey, this is a stable contender, right? Wrong, because right before the playoffs, Denver does something nobody saw coming. They fire Michael Malone, and Calvin Booth fired them. 3 games left in the season. Now, I don't care how you spin it, that's chaos. You don't fire the coach who brought you your first championship 2 years ago in the middle of a playoff chase unless there's serious disagreement upstairs. But credit to David Adelman, he steps in, steadies the ship, and they're a game away from the conference finals. So now, here we are, new leadership, same superstar, fresh supporting cast. Let's start where we always start, and that's Nikola Jokic. Folks, this guy is an all-time great. I'm not exaggerating. He just averaged a triple-double, 29, 12, and 10, and didn't even win the MVP. Top 3 in points, rebounds, and assists for the season. That's never been done before. This guy's a machine. He's the offense. He's the system. You could put 4 YMCA guys around him and he'd still win 45 games. But here's where Denver got smart this offseason. They said, we can't run Jokic into the ground. So they add depth. They bring back Bruce Brown, who was a key piece of that 2023 title team. Toughness, defense, energy. They trade for Cameron Johnson, sharpshooter, 18 points a game, 39% from three. That's spacing Jokic needs. That's what he needs. They signed Tim Hardaway Jr. and trade for Jonas Valanciunas, a guy to give them size when, Jokic sits. They don't overlook Christian Braun. This kid might be the breakout story. Went from 7 points a game to 15.4 last year. Improved every facet of his game. He's got the pedigree. NCAA title, NBA title, knows how to win. If he makes another leap, Denver's ceiling gets higher. Now, let's be real. Losing Michael Porter Jr. hurts from a pure talent standpoint. You don't replace that shot making easily. But if Johnson gives them steadier defense, better spacing, and a cleaner fit next to Jokic and Murray, maybe they're more balanced. The question is, and it's a big one, can Adelman get them back to the championship? Because the West is a gauntlet. You've got OKC, you've got Dallas, you've got Minnesota, Golden State, Phoenix, the Lakers if healthy. You've got no easy series out there. So for Denver, it's not about talent. It's about cohesion and timing. You've got the best player in the world. You've got continuity with Murray and Gordon. You've got depth now. But if the chemistry isn't right, or if Joker has to carry too much again, they are going to burn out before May. I'll say this, though. If everything clicks, if Adelman pushes the right buttons, this team can absolutely win another title. Jokic is that good. He gives you a chance every single night. So the key questions heading into this season is, can Jokic stay fresh and dominant? Can Braun become a legit third option? And can this new regime deliver when the lights are brightest? Because make no mistake, folks, it's championship or bust in Denver. When you've got the best player in the league, there's no moral victories. They've got the talent, they've got the MVP, and now they've got to prove they didn't blow up a good thing just to say they did something. From men's hoops to women's hoops in the WNBA, this is a bombshell. You don't hear this kind of stuff every day, especially from one of the faces of the league. Nafisha Collier didn't just throw a jab. She dropped a haymaker on league leadership, and specifically on Commissioner Kathy Edgenlibert. She called the commissioner negligent, said the WNBA has the worst leadership in the world, and claimed Edgenlibert told players like Caitlin Clark they should be, quote, on their knees thanking the league for their platform. Folks, that's not the kind of quote you can walk back. That's not a misunderstanding. That's a complete breakdown in trust. Let's be real here. Collier is no fringe player. This isn't some into-the-bench voice trying to make noise. She's the runner-up in the MVP voting, a franchise cornerstone, and she's vice president of the Players Union. She's got a stature. She's got credibility, and when she says the players feel undervalued, underpaid, and unheard, you better believe that sentiment runs deep. Now, here's the thing. She's not just criticizing, she's calling out the whole system. She says officiating is a joke, compensation is out of touch, the league's leadership is failing the players, and the voices are being silenced with fines. That's powerful stuff. She even said Edgenlibert told her only losers complain about the refs. You cannot have your commissioner saying that in a league where officiating has already been under fire all season long. And let's not forget the context here. The WNBA is about to enter CBA negotiations. You got Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Paige Beckers, all driving record ratings, record attendance, sponsorship, and yet the players are still making what amounts to lunch money compared to their value. So when Collier says we have the best players in the world, the best fans, but the worst leadership, she's tapping into a growing frustration that's been simmering for years. And now she's got backing. Angel Reese calls her a 10-10, no notes. Paige Becker's posts Queen Fee. Elena Del Donna says she's still waiting to hear from the commissioner after retiring. You're seeing a pattern. Players feel disconnected from the front office. They feel like they're not being respected. Now, let me tell you, this is a dangerous moment for the WNBA because if your stars, your MVP candidates, your faces of the league are openly saying they don't trust leadership, you're not taking the right steps. You know, you're talking about something very dangerous here. You know, about a public relations problem. You're talking about a potential labor crisis. And folks, a work stoppage in 2026, that's not out of the question. So let's call it what it is. Edge and Libert's leadership is on the line. The WNBA has had an incredible moment here and is on a momentum chase like no other with record ratings, new media deals. USA just announced they're going to broadcast WNBA games next year. And more attention than ever, and yet the players feel alienated. That's a failure of communication. That's a failure of vision. And here's what makes this even more complicated. Collier runs unrivaled her own league. So now you've got a star player, a union VP, and a league owner all in one. That's power. That's leverage. If she's not happy with how the WNBA is running, she's building her own alternative. And trust me, that's not an idle threat. The bottom line is this. This is a crossroads moment for the WNBA. Either Ellen Gebert gets the players back on board, listens, collaborates, changes course, or the league risks a revolt from within. You can't grow the product while your stars are calling you negligent. Because let me tell you, fans don't tune in for Kathy. They tune in for Nafisha, Caitlin, Angel, Brianna. The players are the league. If they walk, the whole thing collapses. So my message to the WNBA leadership is simple. Listen, don't silence, don't fine, don't deflect. Fix the officiating, fix the pay scale, fix the relationship, because you are this close to losing the locker room. And when you lose the locker room, you lose the league. You cannot preach growth and empowerment on one hand and silence your stars on the other. The players are the product. Respect them. Risk losing them. You know, that is what you are doing. You are risking losing your players. And that's a shame. And it can't happen. Wake up, WNBA. Wake up. Here's what's trending in the world of sports. Reds taking on the Dodgers. Top of the 8th. Los Angeles leads it 10-2. And in the WNBA semifinals, Game 5, series tied at 2 apiece. The Vegas Aces lead at 84-80. Asia Wilson just made a 16-foot jumper. Clock stops at 2:30, so Aces win it, or Aces leading at 84-80. Take a look at our box score for the Aces. Asia Wilson, 33 points, 13 of 24, 1 from downtown, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 personal foul. Mitchell has 15 points. 4 for 8, 3 for 3 from downtown, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 personal fouls for the Fever. Winner of this game will play Phoenix on Friday in Game 1 of the WNBA finals. So it is Vegas leading the Fever 84-80 with 2:30 left to play in the fourth. Here's tonight's final thought. For more than a century, college athletics have occupied a peculiar and often precarious place in the American conscience. Part academic tradition, part commercial spectacle. From the ivy-covered walls of the early 20th century to the billion-dollar broadcasts of today, the balance between education, competition, and commerce has been a moving target. And now, as we stand amid a seismic shift, with athletes finally sharing in the wealth they help create, another question looms. Can college sports remain a shared enterprise, or will they fracture into a permanent caste system? That's the dilemma Senator Maria Cantwell is trying to address with her Student-Athlete Fairness and Enforcement Act. On its face, the bill is a modernization of a 1961 law that forbids college conferences from collectively negotiating media rights. In reality, it's a bid to preserve what's left of college sports landscape before it collides into a Power II world where the Big Ten and SEC command riches and relevance while everyone else fades into the margins. Cantwell's proposal would allow conferences to band together, not unlike the NFL or MLB, to negotiate media rights collectively, ensuring a more fair distribution of revenue. In doing so, she hopes to maintain the lifeblood of non-revenue sports, the Olympic sports, the women's sports, the ones that don't sell out 100,000-seat stadiums, but do embody the ideals of college athletics. Make no mistake, this is not nostalgia. It's triage. The explosion of NIL, name, image, and likeness deals, and the new antitrust settlement allowing schools to share up to 22% of revenue directly with players has made the old model obsolete. But the unintended consequence has been a widening gulf between the haves and the have-nots. The Big Ten distributing nearly $1 billion to its members, lives in a different galaxy than the Mountain West or the American Athletic Conference, that disparately threatens not only to competitive balance, but the very existence of programs that feed our Olympic teams and offer thousands of scholarships nationwide. Cantwell's bill is rooted in a simple, perhaps old-fashioned idea. College sports are better when everyone has a seat at the table. When Oregon State and Iowa State can still dream. When rowing, wrestling, and volleyball are seen as not luxuries, but an integral part of the American sports mosaic. It's also a challenge to the unchecked corporation of the college game. By requiring certain marquee events, football and basketball games, to remain accessible on local broadcast television, the bill reminds us that these teams belong, in some sense, to their communities. They're not private products to be hidden behind paywalls. Of course, questions remain. Will collective bargaining among conferences truly create fairness? Or will the market simply shift, rewarding new alliances with old ones crumble? Can legislation solve what decades of greed and governance have destroyed? Perhaps not entirely, but in an era when money and power have turned college athletics into something unrecognizable from its roots, Cantwell's efforts represents a rare act of stewardship, a pause to consider what we might lose in the relentless pursuit of more. Because if the end game is a world where only the rich survive, where two super conferences dominate every broadcast and the rest fade into irrelevance, then what we've built is not a college system, it's a minor league monopoly. And if that happens, we'll have no one to blame but ourselves. In preserving the breadth of college sports, Senator Cantwell is doing more than tinkering with antitrust laws. She's asking us to decide what kind of future we want for the games we love, and whether that future still includes everyone. That, in the end, is the real contest, and the clock is ticking. That will do it for me on this Tuesday night. Till next time, Ryder Bullock reporting. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for letting me share mine.